All right. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited about today. We're doing something kind of different. We're doing a live taping of the podcast. I am here with someone, a special guest. I'm really excited, Tarzan Kay, who is, in my opinion, like the email marketing expert. Tarzan teaches about how to sell big with truth infused and story-based emails. I love that she's a fellow Canadian, just like me. She's a mom of two, also just like me. And she's probably one of the most real and authentic people in the digital marketing space, in my opinion. So welcome, Tarzan, to the show.
What an introduction. Thank you.
So excited to have you. So for those maybe who aren't familiar with you, you were a copywriter for hire. You wrote copy for a lot of people. I want you to just like name drop and tell us some people that you've written copy for, because there are some big names in there.
Well, there's actually only one, funny enough. Like my freelance copywriting career came and went very fast. Partly because I think it was my first or maybe second year in business that I started writing emails for Amy Porterfield. And she would like drop my name on stage or like on her podcast, which kind of led people to see me as like the copywriter to the stars. However, and I did write, like I wrote for Four Sigmatic, like the mushroom coffee brand. Like I had a few clients that were like doing really awesome things. But right away, I was like, I don't want to write for other people. Like, I want to do this for myself. So I transitioned out of that very quickly. But because I had a few clients that were stars, like people just assumed that all of my clients were stars, which was really never the case.
Well, you just ride that wave.
Yeah. I rode the coattails hard.
Yeah, exactly. So I want you to and actually before we even get to this next question, were you writing emails for yourself then before you started to teach about this kind of thing?
Yeah, like in my very first year in business, I was like 2 months in and I like took B school and I was like, okay, Marie Forleo says I need an email list. Like, okay, I'll do that. And I started with 37 subscribers and a biweekly email, and I have not stopped since.
Wow. You've not taken a week off, or a bi-week off?
No, that's not true. Like I've taken, there have been breaks here and there. Like I do usually take Christmas off, but not even completely, because I'm like such a preparer. Things are always written and scheduled in advance. But like, I had a child when I started my business, but I've never ghosted. I've never disappeared. I've had like strategic weeks off. I did take a month off, because I'm in the middle of a divorce right now. So I took a 1 month sabbatical, and that was the longest I've ever been away from my email list. And I told them like, hey, getting divorced, see you in a month.
Yes. I was on that email.
Right.
I have opened, I think, probably every email I've ever received anyway, whatever segment of your list I'm on. I love the ones I received. So I want you to, before we dive into maybe some more like strategic questions, because I know that I'm a strategy person, probably the folks who are listening to the show, maybe those who were tuned in live today or listening when we publish the episode, I am strategic. So I tend to like bring a lot of sort of strategy based folks into my audience. But before we get into those questions, can you kind of make the case for email marketing? Like, why should someone spend time now in their business when they've got 1,000 other things that they're trying to prioritize and figure out what to focus on at really any stage in their business? Like, why bother spending time trying to get better at email?
Okay, well, I can see why people wonder, like, is email really that important? Because it feels old, and it feels like there are so many shinier, more interesting things like TikTok or Clubhouse or like challenges or whatever. Like, on all of those things are great. However, like, email is so central to the way everybody does business, regardless of whether or not you're an online business or any type of business. Like, people have email addresses. Email is here to stay. And in fact, like the global value of email marketing is like rising every single year and is set to double in the next 5 years. Like that email is not going anywhere. So I think it's first important to dispel the myth that like something else will replace it. Currently, nothing else does what email does. And until something better comes along, like it is here to stay. And it looks like it's only going to continue to grow. The return on investment from email is trackable, and is like, according to recent studies, is something like $42 to every dollar spent. And that's like, that has, a lot to do with the way you do email. It's not just like put $5 of effort into it and get 42 times that back. Like, we need to be strategic about it. However, like the return on investment is there, and all of the other things that you're doing, like your social media and all, your webinars or all of those things, like they're like, you think about email as like the home base, and all of the other things are just like kind of leading back to home base, because that's actually where the transaction happens.
Mm-hmm. And I've had times, certainly in my business, where I've like let go of some of the other things, and I've just stayed at home base for a while when life is too busy. I can't handle the other things. And amazingly, everything still kind of runs. Like you don't necessarily, you realize that you don't actually sometimes need all those other, whether it's platforms or promotions or events or things that you were doing. Sometimes just sticking closer to home with email can be a really simple way to keep things going in the business, particularly when you're maybe kind of going through a more challenging or busy time.
Precisely. Yeah. And for me, like for a long time, that was actually all I did. Like I didn't add social media until I was about 3 or 4 years into my business. I didn't do webinars. Like I didn't do any of the things that I do today. I really just was like, this is my medium. I'm just going all in with this. And it worked. Like it worked. I didn't actually need to do those other things.
Yeah.
I sometimes wonder if I still don't.
Well, this is it. Like I'm tempted every now and again to just try and take away all the things and watch what happened. I did do that a little bit with Instagram for a while, and spoiler, nothing happened. Like nothing really changed in my business.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into some rapid fire. So I want to know the best subject line that you've ever sent.
Okay, so I was thinking about this, and the best, like, it's hard to say because, in open rates change over time, like, especially with mail privacy protection, like, we don't really know what's the best performing thing. And it depends based on the size of a list. However, a subject line that I come back to a lot that I wanted to mention today, because anybody can use it, is made you a video. So any subject line that has curiosity always does well, like with the word this, like this picture is so funny, or what is happening here, like anything curiosity. But made you a video is a subject line that consistently performs really well, not only to get the email opened, but also to get engagement, to get people clicking on the video and going to the next step. And people probably know this, but just in case, you can't actually put a video in an email, but we'll put like a GIF of the first 3 seconds and then link to a video. And there's like the click-through rate on video is like having video in an email or click to a video has shown to increase open rates by as much as 300%. That's a stat from Campaign Monitor. Video just works. It works for clicks, but it also works great as if you put video in the subject line to actually get people through. So it does 2 jobs. It gets the open and gets the click. So
that's
just
so
try
interesting.
that subject line.
If anyone's on my email list, they know that I have used that exact subject line from Tarzan, thanks to learning about it in Email Stars, and like did the exact style of email that she recommends with that particular subject line. I have 2 for my own business. One is like, whenever I put the first name of someone in the subject line, like for Tarzan, tends to get a really high open rate. But my personal favorite subject line, I was called the Moist Maker. And do you know that Friends episode where like Ross has this piece of gravy soaked bread in his sandwich, and so there's like a turkey emoji, and so I use that same subject line every Thanksgiving, like American Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, it's a good one. Okay, so I would be curious to know the best, if you can remember, like the best conversion rate you have ever had in any of your launches, or even from like a funnel that you've run.
Yeah. Okay. So I think you're going to like this one. So years ago, when I had a much smaller list than I do now, maybe I had like 1,500 subscribers, and Email Stars, like before it was a digital program, was a group program that costs a lot more and had a really small group. So I identified like I think I wanted to get 12 or 15 people. And I identified 30 people from my email list, and they were past customers that had bought things from me. So I had their address like in Samcart or something, like a billing address or something, or people who had been like long-ish term subscribers who I'd had conversations with, and like, you know, people that I kind of knew, which is something that is awesome about a small list, is you really can deeply get to know your subscribers. So I identified these 30 people and I put them in a spreadsheet, and my VA, who's now my business manager, but you know, we worked together to find these addresses, and we put together a video invitation, like a piece of snail mail. It was so cool. It was like this square sort of booklet, and and on the front it said, "You stand out like Lady Gaga in a room full of Kelly Clarksons." And then it opened and it had a video in it, and it automatically played. And I ordered them on Alibaba. They cost like $30 each. So
what do you mean? Like it was like a device?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it actually was. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. It was like it looked like a card, but it was maybe half an inch thick, and you opened it and there was an actual video player in there. So I ordered them from Alibaba, and then I think they like printed, you know, they were so beautiful. Like it was such a cool campaign, and I sent them out to 30 people. So it probably cost me like $1,000, and I filled the whole program. So the conversion rate was outrageous. It was like at least 50%, but maybe even like 75%. It was ridiculous. And just like a really fun small list strategy that anybody could use.
Yeah, I love that way to just do something relatively simple and combine it with email and have that magic happen. And you didn't even need to be on social media in that case. You didn't even need to run a webinar, right? You didn't need to do any of those things.
Yeah. And the cool thing was like, I had this group program, but then I also had a downsell that was like the recordings. Like I was recording the program at the same time. So the group program was like $6,000. So let's say like 15 people bought the full thing. And then a bunch of the other people, like, because they were so excited, they were excited to be invited, and they had this thing in their house that like their kids wanted to play with. And so a lot of those people also ended up buying the recordings. Like it was outrageous. I don't know what the percentage was, but outrageous.
Higher than anything ever that we talk about in this industry.
Yes. Yeah.
Amazing. So what is the email, would you say, that you've sent that got the most replies? And I have a guess as to which email this might be, as an avid email subscriber of yours, but do you have the stats on that?
I don't have the stats on that. It's something that I actually tell people to track, but I myself only track like anecdotally, like, oh my God, wow, there's like 20 replies in my inbox. So there's two that come to mind, and keep in mind, my memory is very short. So I'll tell you for this year.
Okay.
So I actually just sent out an email on Tuesday this week that might have gotten more replies than I've gotten from any other email this year. And it actually was like such a simple email about, like, this sounds so boring, but it was about self-care, and it was really honest. And it was like, hey, I'm taking a break from talking about email to tell you like things are hard and this is what I'm doing. And so many beautiful emails from people that were like, this is exactly what I wanted to hear. And, you know, things like that. And like, I hope you're okay. I love what you're doing. Please keep doing it. Like just an outpouring of support, which was awesome. But late last year or early this year, I also sent an email about being in a throuple that was like, got a lot of attention. Like, wow, people had a lot to say about it. So there were dozens of replies, and interestingly, like that was like, I mean, I felt safe and comfortable to come out about that relationship. And my subscribers were so excited, like to be let into my world, this like weird little thing about me that nobody else really knows, and that they got to know. And then they told me so many interesting things about themselves. Like that is the magic of being open and vulnerable with your people, is then like they tell you things. Like I had this one person who was like, I was also raised in a cult, and I was once in a throuple, and I really love Kanye. That's like three funny things about me that they were really excited. Like, it was awesome. But
Yeah.
I'm really wondering what the email is that you were thinking of.
It was that one.
The throuple. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because even though I wasn't someone who hit reply, it sat with me. Like, I was thinking about it for days afterwards.
Yeah.
I was thinking of you. I was like feeling like I was sending you kind of like happy thoughts, because it just had felt like you've been going through this hard time, and that email felt like lighter and happier. And it was just one that like stuck with me. And so I just felt like, that would have been something that had landed with other people too.
Yeah, definitely did.
Yeah. Okay. So what would you say is one change or one tip that someone could make today when writing their next email campaign to their list?
Okay, so this is something that they can do right away, but just to adopt as a practice is writing 4 subject lines every time you write an email. And 3 or 4 of them are going to be shit, and that's okay. But the point is to practice writing subject lines. Like, we invest a lot of time writing emails and a lot less time writing the subject line. It's sort of like writing a sales page and then being like, what should the headline be? Blah, here's this. But wait, that's like the most important part. So getting in the habit of writing at least 4 subject lines and choosing the best one, and just doing that from here on out. Like, whether or not you use them, it's okay, just to like let yourself practice doing that.
And so sometimes, do you think of the subject line first and then the email comes later?
Sometimes, yes, but rarely. Usually I write the email and then I'm kind of looking for a hook or something interesting about it, and I write the email after. And in fact, when I'm editing emails, so in Email Stars, we have like live email editing calls every single week. And one of the things that I like, it starts with the subject line, which everybody struggles with. So I might be like, okay, this is okay, but we could do better. Let's come back to it. And I'll read the email and I'll be editing it. I'll be like, boom, okay, there's a good idea for the subject line. So generally I do that last. Okay.
It's interesting. Sometimes for me, I think in subject lines now. And so like, I'll just pop them into a notes app or something and kind of come back to them later. So we all know that you have just opened the doors to Email Stars. And if you didn't know that already, newsflash, it's open. Cohort is already starting to flow in for this next round, which is so exciting. Email Stars is a program that I bought back in 2020. I feel like it was right after all the world changed. And I was kind of like excited to dive in and do some learning and, watch some videos and really practice getting better at email. And so I would love to hear in your words how you feel maybe Email Stars is different from other email marketing courses that people might have looked at, might have purchased before.
Okay, well, one thing that I really love about Email Stars is that it's not a linear program. Like, we designed it around the customer journey, like from the time that someone joins your email list, like what does that email need to look like? What sort of tags and segments do you need to create? So I do recommend that people start with the first module because it's pretty important, and then we go through the entire customer journey from nurturing them and bringing them to into pre-launch content, like webinars and things like that, getting clients on a call. And then, the last email is about onboarding. However, what I appreciate and students appreciate is that you can skip around wherever, if you're in a promo right now and you just need to watch the promo sequence, you can just do that right away and it will still make sense and it can still work if you haven't done all the previous things. So a lot of our best testimonials come from people that are like, I feel like I shouldn't give this testimonial because I only watched 2 modules, but here's all the great things that I'm doing now with email. So I love that because that's how I read books. That's how I take programs. I just want to get what I need. And then maybe I'll listen to the rest on my phone or whatever at a later date. So that's one of my favorite things about it.
Yeah, I resonate with that. I jumped in and immediately went to the Swipe library because I did have a promotion coming up, and then kind of worked my way back. So what would you say are a couple of things inside the program that might surprise people when they join?
Well, I'm really proud of the level of support that we offer. Like, we're a team of 5 people. We all hang out in the Facebook group. Like, off my team, there'll be at least one team member on the email editing calls. Like, we're really there and present. And I think people are used to like buying highly scaled programs at this price point with like thousands of people and sort of feeling like they're getting lost in it. So that's really fun thing. There's like a few actually built in surprises that I'm like, I don't want to talk about the surprises because we build things in that they don't know about. And then they get it and they're like, oh, look at this cool thing. This is like a fun extra. But something that we're doing this year that I'm excited about is we have like on Tuesday, we're hosting a networking call for our students just to like get in and get to know each other. And it's just going to be like a Zoom call with breakout sessions and just like questions for people to talk to each other, because I have found in my experience with digital programs, if I can connect with someone in the program and I can like actually make friends, like, yes, like networking is great for the future and business connections and all that, but like to actually feel like I'm in community with people that have the same goals that I do, that is really special. So that's something that we added this year, and I don't know how it's going to go yet, but I'm excited for those calls. The first one's on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's exciting. I need to read this to you. Someone who's listening in to the live taping said that she's chiming in as a former super happy email stars student. And she says, I definitely recommend getting email stars, even with a list below 250. I got email stars way before I had an email list, but having it, number one, got me excited to start building my own list. And number two, I refer back to it to this day, even though I purchased in 2018. I think she also gives you, I think she also gives you lifetime access to updates. I can't recommend the program more. Tarzan is such a special person and amazing coach. So Caitlin just gave you a really great testimonial.
Okay, I need that testimonial from Caitlin. And I also love that. Like, Gemma, you're one of our power users who's logged in like a gazillion times. And for Caitlin, I also want to say we like updated it again this year. And something that I'm really excited about that felt so good to do is I added 2 new lessons on consent. Like, the future of email marketing is definitely going way more toward consent-based marketing, like with mail privacy protection, like people don't even want their companies to know whether or not they opened or clicked their email. So everything is really moving toward consent. And so I built it a lot more of that into the program, like how to get consent, how to renew consent. What is consent? Like, is it a double opt-in? Like, no, that's not what it is. So we talk about that a lot, and that's an exciting addition for me this year. Yeah.
And I think because it is such a dynamic space, like amazing that you are continuing to update. And so, if you buy this year, 2 years from now, like you'll be able to come back into this program and access that. So that's amazing. There had been a question earlier from someone who was saying like, she had heard you say that maybe it's not for someone who has a list of under 250. She's just starting to build her list now with a new blog after like the revamp of her business. What would you say? Is it better for her to wait, is basically what she's asking.
I would say the vast majority of our students have a micro list. And I think sometimes where internet marketing gets it wrong is like we teach list building and list nurturing, like they're 2 different things, but they really need to happen at the same time. Like, it is so much more effective. Like, when is the best time to start emailing your list and figuring this out? Like, from the first email subscriber that you get. And actually, like those who come in with like a larger list and like some practices already in place, they have to do a lot of relearning, like reorganizing all their tags and segments, like to know right from the beginning, like what do you need to tag for? What kinds of segments are you building that could be useful in your sales process? Like, that is like, honestly, I feel like that is the best time to join, is when you're just starting out with a small list.
Yeah, I would agree. I was someone who came in and had to do a bunch of reorganizing, and someone was asking me earlier in the chat, they were saying, could I sort of share what shifted for me in my own email marketing after I took email stars? And actually, I think that's such a good question. I might dedicate a whole email to it. Like, so if you're on my list, which I'm sure you are, I'll address that in more detail. But I would say that one of the very specific things that I immediately implemented after watching one of the modules was like much more sophisticated tagging and segmentation, which I hadn't been doing before. And I still have it on my to-do list of like, I need to go back to that again and do more, because I did some back then, but in 2 years, my business has shifted a fair bit. And so there's more work to be done there. And so that was surprising to me, because I was expecting it to be a program about like how to write a great email, less about like some of the mechanics behind creating the system. And so I really appreciated that. And even some of the stuff around like list cleanup, like some of the tools that you shared were things that I didn't know about. And frankly, it surprised me because I'd been in business for a long time and had been doing email for a long time. So yeah, just some of those very specific like system things are so useful. So tell us about how people can join Email Stars.
Well, we are open right now, and you have a unique link because you're a promotional partner. So I won't even say what the link is. We're open right now until we're enrolling for 2 weeks, which we've never done before, and is like a bit scary, but also exciting to give people, you know, a bit of space to make a good decision and to talk to our team and make sure it's the right thing for them. So they can go and check out the sales page now. And I'm also hosting a masterclass tomorrow called Small List, Big Profit. This will be my 3rd one. So the 3rd time is always the best class because I've practiced a few times, and they'll hear me talk about some of the things we talked about today, like the ROI of email marketing, and also a little bit more about like privacy protection and consent and what that looks like, and some specific strategies that are unique to a small list. Actually, on the masterclass, there's a slide with a picture of me like holding up the invitation. Every time I look at it, I'm like, damn, that was a good idea, that video invitation. So we're enrolling now, and great if you can enroll before Tuesday so you can come to that networking call and meet some of the people who are joining. But
otherwise, it's open till June
23rd.
Thursday,
June 23rd.
Yeah, perfect. And we'll include the link with this, but it's GemmaBonham-Carter.com/Tarzan. We'll take you right there to my specific link. And I am including a pretty juicy little selection of bonuses that are going to go along really well with everything you're going to learn in Tarzan's program. So thank you so much for being here, Tarzan. I really appreciate it. I'm going to send you this screenshot from Caitlin for sure, so you can use it afterwards. That'd be perfect.
I'm copy pasting it right now.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Caitlin.
And good luck with the launch, Tarzan. And thanks for being here.
Thanks, Gemma.
Bye.